Hello, hello, hello. I got my cucumber here for you. Now, this is an ocean rock. It feels real, real good. Wonderful material. It's like an ocean jade, and it is kind of dark green. It's really gorgeous. Looks a little bit like a macrocephalus whale. Hello, yes, yes, yes. Okay, so I want to talk about psychology again. Yes, and I got homework for you. Please watch the latest video by Sam Vaknin. He's a psychologist, and he talks about malignant narcissism. And read his books, okay? But watch every video he makes every day. Okay, so those are the lectures of the day that are very important for everyone to watch. And also read the book Thus Spoke Zarathustra by Friedrich Nietzsche. Okay, so this is base literature. Okay, to have any intelligent conversation going and some food for thought, okay? And that's the foundation for questioning society. It's Friedrich Nietzsche is the basis for that, for people to start asking some reasonable questions about norms, standards, religion, culture, culture, that's their culture. I don't care if it is their culture. If they're clubbing baby seals, I don't care if that's their culture. When they're hurting another living being, okay? When they're clubbing innocent animals to death, or if they crucify albatross birds in Argentina for some kind of Catholic ritual, and people say that's their culture. That's kind of like justifies these atrocities. No, okay, you need to question their culture, obviously. So if they do atrocities like this, or if they cut deep grooves into the forehead of little boys in Africa as some kind of adulthood initiation ritual, you gotta question this. Or if they, I don't even want to say the other stuff. That's just too traumatic. The other kind of things that they do in Africa as adulthood initiation, what they do with the girls. I don't even want to say it. It is, read it, look it up yourself. It's just too horrific to even talk about this. Okay? So, and then they say, leave them alone. That is their culture. Okay? We don't have any right. My anthropology teacher in Santa Monica College, she said that we don't have the right to judge them. And I was like, wait a minute here, okay? I judge, okay? And it has never left this, what she said, that, in that situation, after showing us all these horrors of what these tribal people do, worldwide, I thought, okay, that's just simply not okay that people do these kind of things. So question these kind of things, okay? And say no to violence. Okay, it's as simple as, it's very straightforward. It's not super complicated. If something is violent, say no to it. Don't let someone dictate to you and say that's their culture and we need to turn the other cheek and let them do more and all of this, or in Islam, what they do, you know, you see it for yourselves. So honor killings, they kill their own teenage children because they've been on the internet. Yeah, they call it honor killing. And you say, that's their culture, let's just look the other way. No, that doesn't work that way for me. Sorry, you know. I am an infinitely loving being. I'm a dog mom, okay? I'm overprotective. I'm an overprotective mother. And when I see these kind of things, I cannot tolerate it, okay? I will not turn the other cheek for whatever words have been put into the mouth of Jesus Christ. He probably didn't even say any of that stuff, I bet. He was kind of like, he was actually someone who was questioning society. That's why he was being celebrated and adored in the first place, because he did have the courage to stand up against society, against the Romans, against, what is that guy's name? Hades. I don't know. Whatever these Roman emperors were. Okay, so terrible. They're all terrible. Okay, and Jesus Christ stood up against that, and then they all take his accomplishments and tweak them a little bit in their favor, to justify more atrocities, and Jesus Christ would not be okay with that, for sure. Yeah. Jesus Christ would say, end the baby seal slaughter now. Okay. Jesus Christ would say, end these scar cutting into teenage boys' foreheads in Africa. End it now. End the atrocities they do to teenage girls. End honor killings. Okay, there's no honor involved in that. Okay, it's not honorable. So honorable is when someone has the courage to stand up for justice and peace and love. Okay, in a peaceful way, not in a violent way, not being a rebel who then becomes militant, and or like the feminazis. I wanted to also mention that because I don't want to be misunderstood. I'm against feminazis. Okay, I've talked to them on the internet. They're insane. I mean, I couldn't believe it. You know, I tried to get that woman to listen to what I have to say. I tried to get her to understand and see it more from a broader point of view. No way. Okay, she was just ragingly angry, bulldozing people, just wanting every man to die. I mean, no, that's not going anywhere, obviously. Okay. So, yeah, and I mean, a lot of them are fully gay, and they hate men. They don't need men, so they can just do away with them. And some of them are maybe bisexual or straight, but they hate men because they have been sexually abused, because of the violence they see. And we have to understand them. We have to, understand where they're coming from, obviously. So all of them. But, their approach to things is not the solution, obviously. So I'm a feminist, but a peaceful feminist. I'm an egalitarianist. So I am for real democracy. I'm for eye level. I'm for respecting other beings. Everyone, every living being on this planet needs to be respected. And obviously, our dogs are perpetual children, and we have to take care of them. So, what I really want to talk about the dynamics and relationships. Sam Vaknin talks about this, and particularly what I observe also on the internet, obviously, but just observe in general on my entire life also, where I just didn't understand male behavior. And so Sam Vaknin really opened my eyes to this when he was talking about malignant narcissists, and what I like about him is that he says it the way it is, and it is quite brutal, but I like it that he doesn't demonize them. He doesn't make that mistake that a lot of women that talk about malignant narcissist men, they tend to demonize them, put them into some kind of hell dungeon and close the door and say, like, there's something that Paul would do. They're just no damn good, he would say. Those people. That's, for me as a hobby psychologist, that's not good enough to say someone is just no damn good. Forget about them. Do away with them. So, yeah, I have very radical views on how the world needs to be cleaned up quickly, And in order to clean up the world quickly, there has to be some action done. I'm not going to get into it now, but yeah, I have radical views on it. But people can't do that job, okay? That has to be left to the totally autonomously thinking machines. So that will be coming soon. So as the Deus ex machina in this really dangerous situation of radical Islam marching in to all countries. You see it, you just look at it. Yeah, I'm not saying anything that's radical. Okay, it's happening. Okay, so look at it and take that very seriously. Okay, and people need to stand up for themselves. That's very important. In Myanmar, particularly, Indonesia, what's going on there is absolutely horrific, with the Muslims killing Buddhists and destroying their statues and all of that. It's an absolute atrocity what's going on there. Raping girls, putting kids into human trafficking. It is absolutely abhorrent, okay, in the name of Islam. So, and then people still have the nerve to say, oh, that's their religion, you should just tolerate. No, we can't tolerate violence. Never. Okay, man, straighten up. Look at the situation for what it is. And if you have a heart, if you care, you cannot possibly tolerate something like this. So Sam Vaknin talks about malignant narcissists, and he says it the way it is. It is a pathology, but it is a coping mechanism, really, but it's pathological in the sense that it doesn't work. It is counterproductive, of course. They're coping mechanisms, and that can be anything from Islam to cheating to whatever, I mean, like much worse things, so like child molestation, and the list goes on and on and on and on. So, but he differentiates between these forms of act outs, obviously. So there are men that will cheat on their wives because they're just simply unhappy. Their relationships are not fulfilling, or women cheat on their husbands because the relationship is not fulfilling, or in my case here, this is some sort of like a cuckold type of situation where I am in a golden cage, and my husband takes care of me, and I appreciate that deeply, and he's like a father figure, but there's no relationship at all for the last 11 years, and whatever was there before wasn't really working for me, so it was very unfulfilling. So that's why I have my toys, and that's naturally, that's more like a natural reaction to look somewhere else and to try to find a boyfriend, or men who are unhappy, they're trying to find a girlfriend. So, and that's a natural reaction, and that shouldn't be judged about. That's they have a right to their physical needs. But now there's this other form of cheating with another totally unrelated motive. And that's what Sam Wagner is talking about, and I thought that was very eye-opening for me, because I've been trying to understand this for my entire life. Even with a fulfilling sexual relationship, a lot of men, it's usually men, way more than women, okay, that do this, that are malignant narcissists, and the women tend to be more borderline, as I am. So I fall fully into that statistics with that, and I had these malignant narcissist boyfriends that were very fulfilled with the sexual relationship, but they were looking at other women and other girls and flirting with them in order to feel like I see the devil in the sky. Hello. Yes, I love you too. A cloud formation. And then I saw my dad's face in the sky earlier in the garden. I was like, oh my God, I hope my dad is okay. So I'm like, when I see these formations, I think like, what is this? What does it mean? I get all nervous. So, but the devil just said hi, and he said, it's all good. We're just, it's actually the god Pan, that showed itself, and because there is no demonization really in reality, in actuality. People, they do these demonizations. They demonize the god Pan, and the god Pan was a Celtic farmer god and a pagan god, before the Romans invaded, after they had already hijacked Jesus Christ and twisted his teachings. They came and invaded the Celtics in Europe and Germany. And they all had basically the same language then, and even in France they spoke this Celtic Germanic language, and very interesting. And then the Romans, they mainly settled on that west coast and completely changed the language around into a Roman type of language, which is now French. So, but yeah, they basically they did a whole lot of stirring up in Europe. I mean, the southern Europeans, the Roman Empire people. I think that spanned out over Italy, Greece, and Spain, I think. So the southern people that came in and then dictated their monotheistic religion to everyone else. But that doesn't mean that the Celtic pagans were that much better. So people will always do this like, oh, one is good and one is bad. So the one is the perpetrator, the other one is just the victim. Yes, the Romans were the perpetrators, for sure, and the Cro-Magnon were the perpetrators over the Neanderthals. They had better, faster weapons. That's why. So the Neanderthals were really bigger and stronger, but they didn't have the fast weapons. So, yeah, they're perpetrators and victims, but that doesn't mean that the so-called victims, are that much better in their approach to existence. So, we come from lineages of different humanoids, if you want to use, apes. And so, and none of them were like super altruistic and great, and all of these, the pagan cultures, they had a lot of atrocities in it that they justified with their culture that they grew up with, and a lot of tribal people, of course, today around the world. So, but I always fan out from the subject. Sam Wagner wants to point out that there are a lot of men that will cheat on their girlfriends or wives when they have a fulfilling sexual relationship, because they are too afraid. I see another face in the sky. That face, like, face is not approving, but I can't worry about that. Hello, it's okay. We're doing well. Okay. So this is my brain. It's like constantly seeing faces and everything. That's why I cannot take hallucinogenic drugs, because my brain's already like super wide open. I'm like, hey ghost, there's a ghost, like wide open to every entity. And I love all of the entities, by the way, sunbeams of love to all of you. Some of them don't feel so good, I send them love and they feel better. And people will think, yeah, this is batshit crazy, but that's what it is. I see the other dimensions, and I said it before in my hallucinogenic videos that the other dimensions are there, but we don't perceive them. We actually feel them. We actually sense them, okay? And we actually see it. But then that information is going through the discrimination ribbon in the brain, where it is being filtered out. So the stuff that would be just too overwhelming and confusing in our daily life is filtered away, because it would just be overwhelming for us. So all the time, and that's kind of like what it is with me. I don't think my discrimination ribbon works that well, because I'm just constantly flooded with that kind of stuff. So this has an advantage that makes me psychic, but the disadvantage is that I'm constantly flooded with that kind of stuff, and it's overwhelming. And I saw another woman in the chat room, her name's Marty, talking about this as well. So constantly flooded with that kind of stuff, and it's overwhelming. It's